Good afternoon. Opening the meeting now for the Board of Recreation and Parks regular meeting of March 27th. Oh, no. Excuse me. April 24th, 2019. And for roll call, Board Secretary, please. Thanks.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson Ofelia Velarde Garcia.
Here.
Citywide Representative Irma Macias.
Here.
Ward 1 Representative Humberto Sanchez. Ward 2 Representative Angie Gomez.
Here.
Ward 3 Representative Luis Aleman. Ward 4 Representative Yanni Diaz. Ward 6 Representative Arpajosa.
Present.
Garden Grove Unified School District Representative Felipe Guerrero. Present. You have a quorum.
Thank you. We're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. If everyone could stand, please. Since we don't have any introductions or presentations today, we're going to go right to consent. And you should have in front of you a copy of the minutes from March 27th. Does anybody have any changes or comments on it? Otherwise, I'll take a motion.
Move to approve.
Seconded and passes. Number 2, absences. Do we have any absences, any excused absences?
Chairperson, we do have an absence today. Commissioner Yanni Diaz did inform us that she will not be able to make it. I believe she's under the weather.
Okay, thank you. And that is the end of the consent calendar. We're going to go right to new business. The first item is a recommended action for discuss and provide input to draft Civic Rec assessment and recommendations conducted by AEF Systems Consulting Incorporated. And I'll pass this on over to Director Rudloff.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Lisa Rudloff, Executive Director of Parks, Recreation, and Community Services. I would just like to correct the recommendation. This is not a draft, so if you can just delete the draft out of that sentence, that'd be great. What we have in our department to utilize for registration and reservations is a recreation management software called Civic Rec. And it was implemented about, I think, in 2017. The previous recreation software, the service ended for that software. So a lot of agencies throughout California had to find a new software. And at my previous agency, we also implemented Civic Rec. And Annette Feliciani with AEF Consulting is here, who has done an assessment and evaluation of how we're using the software, how we can utilize it better, how the community can register online, with their credit card. There's like league management. There's ticketing with the zoo. So she evaluated all of the things that we're doing and what we could be doing. So I asked her to come in today and give an overview of the recommendations and what we'll be implementing in the next 6 months to a year. Hopefully sooner than that. So Annette Feliciani, if you'll come on up. Oh, there we go.
Thank you. It's nice to be here this evening, so appreciate the time. I'm going to do this at a fairly high level, not because I'm trying to gloss over anything, but I'm going to let you guys kind of drive those questions as we go through it, so if you don't mind as we go through that process. So first of all, as Lisa said, this was implemented at the end of 2017. And I would tell you what it's really focusing on. Primarily, it's used for class registrations. So if someone from the public wants to participate in a session, a class that's being offered, they go through and they can use this software and they can register. Staff are using it as well as people can do it in the public. They also use it for facility reservations. So all your different facilities at your parks, they have rooms to rent, they have fields, they use it to handle that as well. It can also be used for things like memberships. It's not currently being used for memberships, but it can. Point of sale transactions. You want to sell a t-shirt, you have a hat, you're at the aquatic center and you want to sell goggles. Those are the kinds of point of sale items. Ticketing. It also has a ticketing module that allows you to use that to be able to sell for different types of events. And then an athletic league management. So it gives you the ability to actually use the leagues within your children's programs and actually be able to set up tournaments and set up all the different games and even draft players, etc. What I was asked to do was to come in and look at the software and just try to say, how is it implemented? Is there other things that we can do that would make it more effective for the city and for the public in using it? But also to focus on a couple of areas that Lisa specifically wanted me to look at. So one is, can we put credit cards in the city so that someone could walk up, register for a class on site, or reserve a room and use their credit card? Currently, all they can do is to pay by cash, check, or a money order, okay? Also to look at some of the functionality at the zoos to see if we can try to incorporate what the zoo is doing, because they are not utilizing Civic Rec today, and to see if for their ticketing and memberships could we move their items into the zoo area. To look at league management and see, could we make it work for how you guys operate within your different, you have 4 different leagues that you use here, 2 boy leagues, 2 girl leagues. Assess your facility reservations and how they're being processed and just make sure those are being done correctly. And the last one is to look at the point of sale and membership features and just see if those features could be implemented since they're already there in the product. How did I do that? I conducted a lot of interviews just to make sure I understood what people were doing, how they worked. I did some site visits to places so that I can look at how they're processing. For example, I spent time with Ethan and his staff out at the zoo to look at what they're doing, to actually go through and see how they're doing, look at their physical setup, etc. And then I spent time literally on the software, just sitting there, looking at all the setups, looking at what's there, looking at reporting, etc. So generally, what did I find by doing that? First of all, I think the staff is really up to speed on the software. I really didn't find that people didn't know how to work with it, didn't like it. I really found a very enthusiastic group that knew what they were doing, knew how to solve their problems, and just a tight run ship. I was really pleased to see that, because lots of times you see that these are not handled that way. So I was very happy with what I saw. I would say it's meeting your needs. So I didn't look and say, oh, this product is all wrong for you. I think it's being used effectively. And right now you're really using it for those 2 purposes: registering for classes and reserving rooms and different facilities. But I also found that you could utilize other features. So the features that are there would meet your needs. So that's a good news. That means you don't need another third party, and some of the manual activities being done could be done within this system. And I think that there's some minor tweaks that could be done to the existing setup. There's certain overall controls. Think about any software that you use. They're just little things that you can do to make it more effective. I have a list of things. I think you make these minor changes, I think you get the bang for your buck at the final end. Specifically, then, I'll break it down in a couple areas. So the first one is dealing with class registration. So what did I find? You do have 2 major areas that are manual outside the system, which is fine, right? You don't have to move those in, but I think that would reduce work in the long run. But you would have to do some tweaking on those things. One is your printed brochure. Currently, everything is done for the brochure, and then everything gets entered into the system. This system has the ability that once you load it into the system, you can do an extract of that, and then you can send it. Now, there's a couple little tweaking that needs to be done to do that, but it ensures that what you're posting online is identical to what you have in that book, and it saves some steps. I have given you instructions on how to do that, so I created those instructions for you so you can look at that and work with that. Also, instructor contracts. So if you're going to have a class, you solicit instructors who say, hey, I have an idea to offer a class that I think would be worthwhile, and you create a contract with them. That's all done outside the system. This system has the ability to keep those within the system. It can be done online. Instructors have an online portal. They can go out. They can see their contract. They can also then print their rosters, do whatever else. So those are two big manual areas that I think could be enhanced at some point. Online use. This product does have limited use by the public, right? Lots of reasons for that. You may have a population that doesn't have as much access to a computer. You may have that they don't have internet access at home. I ran some numbers through the last census. The numbers are actually pretty high saying what people have, but you have a slow adoption rate. So I'm recommending that maybe we do a marketing campaign around this. Yes, go ahead.
Commissioner Pedroza, I think what you'll find in Santa Ana is less computer use at home and more smartphone.
Yes.
So if the system works well on smartphones, that might be the winner.
And it does work on smartphones. And if that's what you're seeing, and that's what I would envision, that you have a lot of people doing that, then I think we create a marketing campaign around that, and we show little screenshots on what it looks like on a smartphone. It works both on an Android and it works on an Apple. Can also be used on a tablet. So I just think you get a little bit more bang for the bucks. The more you can push that people register for classes online, it frees up your staff to work on other areas, and I think you could come up with a clever little campaign that you can run to do that. Software issues, there are a couple of minor things. For example, one of the things is like texting is not working. I've submitted anything that isn't working quite right that we might not be able to tweak on our own to the support system within Civic saying these are issues that we're having. I'll continue to kind of monitor some of those items. The next area relates to facility reservations. You really have limited data online about your facilities. On your city website, there's something that gives you a very short little blurb, and it says, here's Jerome Center, and here's the features that they have there. Very basic, okay? This system has the ability, even if you don't let anyone register online, because you may say, I don't want them to reserve online, but it doesn't hurt for them to be able to see it. Look what the amenities are. And so I created like a little sample mock-up of what that can look, and that's what's in the report as well. You don't have any online reservations? That's not unusual. A lot of cities don't do it because it takes a lot of work. Think about it. You want to book a facility for a wedding. Are you really going to book that online? No. You need to come on site. You need to talk to people. You need to ask questions. However, what if you want to book a picnic shelter at a park to hold a birthday party? You shouldn't need any help to do that. That's very basic. That's the kind of thing we can put online, make very simple for people. It'd be very easy. There's some old data loaded in the system, some data that was not applicable to it. I went ahead and just got rid of all that stuff that you didn't need. It was primarily facilities, some old things that were used for testing, so those have all been removed. There are some inconsistencies, and those are the things that I think should be reviewed by staff to see. So, for example, some of the waivers that are used from facility to facility are not consistent. In some cases, you're required to take a deposit. I'm going to book, you do a deposit. That's common practice that you put a deposit on in order to book it. But not all facilities follow that. I think you need to enforce some of those policies to be consistent so that you don't have someone in the public saying, what do you mean you had to give a deposit? I didn't give a deposit, and that starts causing some issues. Standard practice through all the cities locally is there's a deposit made when you reserve something. If you end up canceling it, there may be a cancellation fee, but there may not be, depending on your policies. And those are the things you would look at. The next area are some key features that are not in the system, and I just kind of, again, hitting the highlights. Memberships. The one that we could use the most would be the zoo. The zoo has a ton of memberships that they offer, different programs that they have. They could easily be put into this system. Everything's being tracked out of it, or they're using kind of another system here at the city that we think would be better if it was put in here. Same way for point of sale. You do use point of sale for like lap swim at the pools. People can come up and pay a couple of dollars and they can use the pool. That's really all cash. People are walking up and handing it, and they kind of put it in a little box. It would be great to get this in the system to get some controls around that. Same way for admissions as it relates to the zoo. And once I do that for the zoo and put them here, now I can do some combination things. One of the things they can't do at the zoo right now is someone walks in and they have a membership. They want to buy a ticket to ride the train. Well, they can't sell the ticket to ride the train because that's not done by them. That's done by the Friends of the Zoo. And the Friends of the Zoo use a separate system. I've talked with Lisa and the finance department, and they are okay that we utilize the system, and then we, in essence, reimburse the Friends of the Zoo after the fact. That will allow Ethan and his staff to say, you know what? I can sell you a train ticket right now while you're here. You're going to get your admission. I'm going to get you a train. What else can I sell? It's kind of the concept of the upsell, but it really is very effective when we're doing this, and it ensures that you're capturing those people and using the best tools that you have for them, and you get the most out of those visits when they come. The last one is league management. I set up one of the leagues in the system for one of the staff members here for her to test. And I did the girls' basketball, created teams, we did assessments, we drafted players, we set up the game schedule. What else did we do? We did a tournament. We were able to show standings online, all of that. And the coaches then have the ability to look at it. They can draft. I can put the numbers next to the kids so I can see the jersey. And then there's little Lauren, and she's number 7. And then here's Phyllis, and she's number 10. It's just a nice communication tool, and it's then easy for anyone to say, let me see what it looks like. So we tested it. So far, everything looks good. I've left that set up for her. She'll continue to play with it, but I really think that that's going to be a good tool that you guys could use as well. So let's talk about the zoo specifically. I touched on it a little bit, but I want to recap because the zoo is a big portion of what is done within this agency. So first of all, let's look at the physical plant. There is one entrance, no turnstile, no way to block people. There's also only one way, one little membership box office. That means if I've got a long line and people are sitting there and they're buying their tickets and I'm a membership person and I get annoyed that there's a line, they can bypass. And there's not enough people. There's no way to stop that person. Now, does it matter they have a membership? No, but we're not tracking that they use that membership. So we're losing the visibility of all those people. And then are we missing people that are bypassing not buying a ticket because the line is long and there's no way for you to control it? Some type of turnstile or control over that would be helpful as you go through that process. There's also a leak in that box office. So when I was there, it was we were having rains. And so, not only were we walking through and there was mud and stuff, but within the facility, they literally put things over the receipt printer so that the water, when it drips, because they were having issues with it. They have to move it every night. And when you're plugging and unplugging equipment, things are going to happen. And so it happens. So a couple of little things, and I think Lisa's already working on some of those changes, but that would go a long way to make it a better entrance and control over what you have there. Admissions. As I mentioned before, there really is no way to upsell those guests. Now, I'm not trying to use that in a negative tone. That's what we're trying to do. But it's like offering more. Did you know that we have these other things that you can do, and I can do it all at one time? You have, a credit card you want to use, I can do it all at one time. You have one check, and you're going to write out a check for it. We do it all at one point. It avoids that person saying, I don't have any more money, I can't buy that ticket for you. Group reservations, that is a big part of what's happening here. School groups take their children to go to the zoo. They're going to do an outing. They're going to look at the animals. There's a back and forth process that they have to do by emailing. They also don't currently have the authority to actually invoice. Now, most of these school groups, they're not just going to write you a check and send it in. They need a PO. They need to be able to go back to their school district and say, I need $100, I have all these kids that are going to do it, etc. They can't invoice them to do that. We've talked to finance. Finance is going to let them do that, so we will be able to do it. And then if we put these reservations in the system, then they would have the ability to send it to them. They can actually send them a link. So for those people who say, we can pay for this online, we can use a credit card, they would be able to pay for it easily. So, did you have a question?
Yeah, Commissioner Pedroza, is there some means where people could scan something on their phone?
Yes. So in essence, if you have, you could purchase your ticket or purchase your admission, it would be on a little barcode, and you can come in and you can just do it.
That should speed things up. I
It would
like
make
that.
it a lot easier all the way around. So, yeah. The system also, like for memberships, has the ability. I don't remember, Ethan, do you have membership cards that everyone gets?
We have membership cards, but they don't have barcodes
Okay.
on them. And I think with Civic Rec, you were saying that they have a keychain. Ethan Fisher, Zoom Manager. You were saying with Civic Rec, you can print out the cards and then also have a barcode that goes on a key ring, which
Exactly.
would be really useful because we don't know how often members are coming back, which also goes into getting people more involved with the zoo that hold memberships, because those are people that become potential volunteers, potential donors. If you find that they're repeat members that are coming 40 times a year, they're going to be they're wanting to be more involved with the facility.
Exactly. So now we're going to know that by them scanning it coming through, we're going to have a record of it, and we're able to say, here's our top users. Let's now market to those people. Let's get them more involved.
Commissioner Pedroza, one other thing that comes to mind, you're talking about the Friends of the Zoo, but you also have a restaurant there that's a third party. I mean, I could see where you could have a one-time visit with lunch included and then give them, work out a deal with them where you give the money back.
Exactly.
So now they're selling more food. I don't know if we get a percentage of that or not, but at least they're happy that they're making more money, and you could do all that as you enter the zoo.
Exactly.
I like that idea.
Yeah. So what we would be looking to is to take a lot of the functionality and move that into Civic Rec so that it's in one place. Then everything that's falling under this agency will be reporting through the same thing, and that would help all the way around. So there were a number of financial related items associated with this. On a processing side, the current process that's in place for refunding is very manual, very labor intensive, and involving a lot of steps. And the agency really is not allowed to do that refund themselves. All they can do is fill out a form and send it over to the financial group, and then they process that. And then the staff lose visibility over that. They don't know, was it ever refunded? Did they get the money? If people are calling them, they have to go, well, I don't know. Then they have to go try to talk to finance to find out. So we talked to the financial group, and they are willing to let staff for us to change this process so that we can actually use the tools in the system to refund. And we're going to talk about credit cards in a minute, but when we go to process credit cards, we need the staff to do it. No one here at the city, if I come in and I register for a class and I use my credit card, and then for some reason I have to cancel and I have to pull my child out and I do a refund, I don't want to hear that it's going to take me 8 weeks to get a check refund when I paid by credit card, and I just want it refunded back to my credit card. So we worked all that out. Finance is willing to make those changes with us. So settings, there are certain little settings that I think we can change on the system that will put a few more controls over the system and give us more responsibility around the employees and what's being done in those cases. Very simple little things and a couple of new procedures. I've created those procedures, and that's been included in the documentation. The last one is the credit card. Staff can't take credit cards today. It's very simple now. We can buy equipment that allows you to use the chip readers. They're called EMV readers. That is the security that you need. You really can't roll out software now that is not what's called PCI compliant. It's got to be compliant to follow all the guidelines out there. These readers will allow you to use those chips like you do at any store that you're going to these days. Very simple to do, to go through and do. So that's a key component and something you really need to do. And I know that Lisa's in the process of gathering how many readers do we need and the costs associated with those. So the next area relates to kind of some of the technology around this, the network. I talked to the director, and we discussed bandwidth. That's an important thing. What is bandwidth? It's the ability to kind of communicate, to send information through that internet. Some locations have poorer connectivity. That means that when they're processing, it's a little bit slower for them. We need a strong network, especially when we're doing credit cards, because the last thing you want is to lose a network connection while you're trying to process a credit card. Explained all that to the director. He totally understands. The city is right now going through a voice over internet change out for your phones. He can upgrade the network as he's doing that. So I asked him to make sure we identify where are the ones we have the worst and to look at those and to take advantage of what he's doing with the VoIP to increase those kinds of technology associated with it. Computers. You have some computers at some of the sites that are not the best. They're a little older. There is no official kind of computer refresh here at the system. In talking to the director, he's trying to get the city to that area. What does that mean? That means that there's a normal process that you say every 3 years I kind of swap out equipment. And you might take these, you have super users, right? You've got your engineers and people who really need high-powered ones. So they're at the top of the list. So they get the best. And then I get a next tier and a next tier, and then you kind of rotate those through, always getting new ones as you go through the process. So he's working on coming up with some type of computer refresh that goes through. And that's something that I'm just stating that you have the same issue. Some of your sites are good and new and you have it, and other ones are not. So we need to be looking at those because it will make a difference as you're trying to utilize this software. The more you try to use these tools, the more demand you have on it. So you need better computers. Other equipment, keep in mind that when you're using credit cards, we do need those readers, and you may need some other items with those readers, meaning maybe you're in a location that there's not a good countertop for it, or not a place. You might need to secure it to a countertop. You might need a stand to make it easier for people to see. So I'm just saying, I just want to make sure everyone's aware, it's not just the reader, there may be some other devices that you need to have associated with it. Maybe you need a thermal receipt printer. You typically only need a thermal receipt if you're doing like a point of sale item, but you want to consider that. So those are some of the items associated with it. So the last is just my summary. So I see what we're looking at as really making minor tweaks to the system, right? We're going to make some minor tweaks, fix a couple of areas that I think we can improve on through turning on one switch, changing another one. We're going to add some new features, memberships, league management, some of the ticketing aspects, etc. All that will result in enhanced processing. So it's a few simple tweaks I think will go a long way to really moving this along. Yes.
Commissioner Pedroza, with the credit card transactions, does your software allow for the receipts to be emailed or texted to the client?
Yes. So once it's paid, it's immediately you have the ability to go ahead and email that directly to them.
That might preclude the whole paper receipt thing. I know in Sacramento there's legislation pending to get rid of paper receipts altogether, so that might be a better option.
Yeah, and then it stores that receipt against that account, which it does right now associated with it, but you don't have to print it. There's also emailed waivers. So if someone needs to sign a waiver, it can also be emailed as well. So
could you technically have kiosks in other city facilities like the libraries where people could buy zoo passes?
Yes, you could
help themselves.
You could really set up.
I like the synergies
kiosks
there.
Anywhere. So yeah,
you like that, right? Sell more zoo passes, get them more memberships, whatever.
Yeah, you can set up kiosks for a variety of things, and you can make it so that it's kind of straightforward and easy as they're going through. Our experience of doing this at different cities is that we really get high access. People out there don't want to come into the cities, and they are doing it. So we have cities who class registrations are as high as 85 to 90% of all class registrations are done from home, or at the park, or watching their kid play games. I know that when my daughter, she's old now, but at the time I can remember I wanted to do everything while I was sitting there at that field, not wasting time, but not doing anything, but watching her. I wanted to do all my business I could at that point. So that's where we find people are out at the city facilities, and they want to be able to book a class or do things. So I think the comment made before about pushing the mobile device may be the best way to go to try to do that. So,
Commissioner Gomez, I have a question.
Yes.
Is there a cost when they do use their credit cards? Because I know some machines do have a percentage. But
so there is a percentage that the city would do. You're already paying a certain percentage for any of the functionality you're doing. So right now, someone from home or on their phone could register for a class by using a credit card. It's the only way you can do it if you're doing it. You have to have a credit card. So you are paying a fee associated with that. Some of the cities pass that back and they add it as a convenience fee. That's a total choice for you. You do not have to do that. You can absorb that cost. Something you might want to look at down the road and say, what is it costing? Is there something we want to charge or not charge associated with it? I don't believe that you're charging for anywhere in the city right now for those fees.
So thank you, Annette. I would just like to say this is, Civic Rec is a software that Annette does not work for Civic Rec. However, I worked with Annette in the city of Irvine, and she knows the Civic Rec system so well. I tapped her and said, can you please come help us? And so it's really about getting more efficient, making it customer friendly, and realizing some revenue and getting everything in one system so we can report out what we do, because everything is scattered. Some things are manual. Make it easier on staff. And the public. So I really, really appreciate it. And so what we will do now is kind of put this into an implementation plan. This is going to take some time, and that's going to help do some training and get our systems set up. And we'll just kind of continue to report out on what we're doing here. So thank you so much.
Great work. Thank you.
Thank
you all.
Okay, we're going to go on to our number 2, recommended action. Discuss and provide updates to the Board of Rec and Parks work plan for fiscal year 2019-20. And we'll hand it over to Director Rudloff.
Absolutely. So each month, we're going to go ahead and put this, thank you very much, put this on the agenda. And in the area of Goal 2, I wanted to make sure we captured that the 6th and Lacey groundbreaking event. We had several board members show up to that, so we'll make sure we add that to our accomplishments. But if you look at your the next sheet, which is the goals and the timeline and the members involved, I wanted to talk about the number 1 goal, tour park facilities. We'd like to offer up June 1st or June 8th, if that is available in your schedules. So we can take a tour, and I'm thinking it's a Saturday. I'm thinking that maybe we'll do like a 10 to 1 or a 10 to 2 or something, or maybe a 3-hour tour. We'll go ahead and visit sites such as any kind of CIPs that might be happening, programs, swimming, things of that nature. So
Commissioner
June
Pedroza,
1st.
June 1st I'm teaching, or is it June or, yeah, but June 8th I'm free.
June 8th, okay. Yeah. Is June 8th okay for everybody?
What time would that be?
Are you okay with like 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock? Something like that?
Commissioner Gomez, I'm not available on June 8th. Sorry.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
How about, let's see. What is the next Saturday? Do we have an event?
Looks like the 15th.
15th?
That one's open on my schedule.
22nd.
Okay.
There's no event.
Is the 15th better for everybody? June 15? No. I know.
Commissioner Gomez, I'm sorry. It's my son's birthday. I really have to be there.
Oh, yeah. No worries.
I'm free June 22nd or the 29th. I don't know if that works for everybody.
Commissioner Pedroza, 22nd's good.
Commissioner
So is
Garcia,
29th.
22nd is good.
June 22nd? Irma, good? Felipe, you okay? All right, so let's shoot for June 22nd. And if the others can't make it, maybe we can split this up into offer, they're actually meetings, so we have to notice them, and anyone from the public can attend. We'll get a van and make sure we have a transportation for everybody involved. So, okay, so
can you repeat the time? I'm sorry, Commissioner Gomez. Can you repeat the time?
June 22nd, 10 to 1 p.m.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. And then the next item is the attend city-sponsored events, just as the 6th and Lacey groundbreaking. I have a bunch of events that I have added into this, which includes the 4th of July event on 4th of July. On July 25th, we have Shakespeare in the Park. September 14 and 15, Fiestas Patrias Festival. October 9th is the 5K run, and November 16th is Plaza Navidad. So what I'll do is add those into this, and so you have those dates available to you. And as other opportunities come up, we'll let you know. The number 3, participate in a comprehensive evaluation on the condition of Park and Recreation and Community Services Agency. This is going to happen on May 13th. This is a special meeting, and I apologize if this doesn't work within, I think we had a few, it didn't work for their schedules, but we'll have the consultants come in. That day will be a staff training, and then that evening at our meeting, the consultant will come in and brief all of you guys about what's going to happen. And then there'll be other dates that we'll add to this. The only other thing that I would recommend removing from this is goal number 5, which is review, evaluate, and make recommendations to amend the joint use agreement with Santa Ana Unified School District. There is a council committee, a joint policy committee, and I would recommend that we remove it and let them deal with that, if that's okay with you all. And then other than that, I know that Board Member Gomez has participated in an ad hoc committee, and I'd like to hear what...
Thank you. So we did have some questions that you already answered, so thank you for that. We weren't sure about number 3, and then number 5 as well, so we crossed it out. So with one of the questions are we able to include number 6 to number 3? Is that like in that meeting that you were going to have on May 13th? Is that where we need? That
would be included in that evaluation.
Okay.
So you're saying combine those?
Because isn't that essentially what it is? That's what we were confused a little bit about. Okay.
Yeah.
And then number 7, we'll review park and facility security and make recommendations. How many parks are there in total? And I'm sorry that I do not know that.
That's okay. 44 parks.
And out of those 44 parks, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Out of those 44 parks, how many do we want? I think we talked about park rangers before, and then we have private securities. How many are like at risk or high risk? I don't know how to word it. Parks that we're going to need security for out of the 44.
Right. Last night I went to a public. What's the meeting I went to? The safety committee. Oh, you were there, Irma. Thanks. Commissioner. And so what we're talking about is we're working with the police department to identify if there's any, they're having a hard time hiring park rangers. So what other options do we have? So non-sworn personnel such as security services to lock up our restrooms, monitor the parks, report out to the police when something's wrong. So we're kind of identifying that right now.
Okay, so
and so we can get
yet.
back to you with the numbers on that.
And then for number 9, we're board education. Does that mean that you're going to include whatever component that's located there during the board meetings? Is that what it is?
Yeah. This I was envisioning like our operations reports that we provide. You're learning about some of our park and recreation services, our programming, capital improvement projects, and facility reservation process. And then the budget, as soon as the new city manager comes on and we know what has been approved, then I'll be presenting the budget
Perfect.
to you and such.
Okay.
So it's just, and then any other kind of special presentations you'd like specific to what we do, like this Civic Rec, I wanted to bring that to you. But if there's something else you would like to know about, we can come and provide that information to you as a presentation.
Perfect. And the last question is, when would this whole plan, when is like the goal for its completion date?
I would say we would treat this as a fiscal year.
That's what we were saying.
So it would end in July or June. So maybe go to like June 20 or May or June, and report this out to the council.
Thank you.
Okay.
That was all.
Okay. Great. Okay. Any other questions or additions or to this? Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. We're going to move down to informational items. Our first operation report will be by our parks and facilities. guru, Mr. Ono.
Thank you. I'll go through it. I'll go through this pretty quickly. Tree removal, as you know, we've entered into a large contract to remove trees at various park sites. We've already removed trees at Fisher, and we're into Santiago Park right now. The report says about 50% complete. Actually, we're almost 75% complete now at those two sites. We are having concerns from the public that we are removing trees. Hindsight, we probably should have gone to neighborhood association meetings and notified them that we are removing dead trees and diseased trees, and maybe that would have helped resolve some of the concerns. I did go to several neighborhood association meetings to let them know what we're doing, but was unable to hit the Santiago one in time. Yeah,
Commissioner Pedrosa, is this an ongoing process still, the tree removal? Is that still going on?
I'm sorry, what is that?
We're still doing the tree removal, or is it all done?
Yes. No, we're still doing the tree removals.
Maybe we could just do a press release and let the public know what's going on. I think once they know more, they'll probably appreciate that it's a good thing.
Right.
Okay. At Thornton Park parking lot resurfacing, we're scheduling the bid advertising process to be in line with the break that the leagues have at Santiago Park, so we're able to actually resurface it while they're having a 2-week break in their program. LED lights, we're doing a number of LED lights at this stadium, the Rosita Park, and Civic Center. It's a process we're working with Edison Company. Birch Park, quickly, we've completed a lot of the renovation work at Birch Park. We still we'll be doing the security lights process. We're looking at what we can find that will match the existing lights.
Can I just, pardon me.
Sure.
I met with the Downtown Association today at Birch Park, and they want to have some activation. They want to activate the park, and they'd like to have things like lunchtime music, and people go down there with the box lunch and eat their lunch and have yoga classes, Tai Chi classes. So kind of have activity at the park so we can continue to keep it the way it's looking right now. So thank you.
It's good. If you're available at Memorial Park on May the 8th, between 9 and 12, we have Crown Castle that's going to be volunteering about 120, 130 of their employees to clean up the park. They're going to be painting bleachers, painting the shower locker rooms, replanting landscaping in the pool areas, and a number of things. So if you're available, come on down. Mike Lopez and Sonia Bachar will be in charge with the volunteer group. Unfortunately, I won't be there. I'll be in Hawaii, so. Unfortunately.
Vacation denied.
Commissioner Pedrosa, if we show up, do we have Parks and Rec T-shirts or something? So we, I know my company does this kind of stuff, and everyone ends up in a traveler's T-shirt for nice photo ops or whatever.
Absolutely, we will send an email out, collect your shirt sizes, and we'll get those ordered.
That'd be fun.
And Crown Castle are going to feed their volunteers at the end with box lunches, and they said any of the employees that are there are welcome to receive box lunches, so you'll be more than welcome.
Just to confirm, May 8th, Wednesday.
May 8th is Wednesday, yes.
Okay.
Uh-oh, that's a work day for me.
Yeah.
It's hard.
We've already talked about locking restrooms. We're doing some work at the lift station. I'll go quickly. Jerome Park, we finished the installation of the French drain around Jerome Park. So the contractor had their pre-bid meeting, or not pre-bid, but their pre-construction meeting the other day. So they'll be scheduling the repair of the gym flooring. If you have a chance, take a look outside the council chambers and look at the new ADA ramp that we've installing with landscaping that looks really beautiful. And they'll provide access for the public from the City Hall parking structure to go through the City Hall to the Plaza of the Sun. right now it's a difficult maneuver to get to the Plaza del Sun from our parking structure. 6th and Lacey, we had a groundbreaking event, and the contractor is now starting construction there. Pool resurfacing project, we've just received permits to renovate 3 pool sites, and staff is actually going to blitz all 5 pool sites to make it presentable before summer begins. Again, quickly going down, Proposition 68, we are going to be applying for 3 projects, one at Memorial, one Raid and Myrtle Park site, and the Standard and McFadden Park site. It requires 5 community meetings. We've gone through about 3 of them, 5 communities for each site, and we've gone through about 3 or 4 of them right now for the various sites, and we'll be wrapping that thing up by the end of the month or first of next month.
And let me just chime in, Lisa Rudloff. Staff has done a phenomenal job at having all of these community meetings. Recreation and Community Services is pitched in. It's an enormous amount of work, and we have all these things that are priorities, like we need to get the pools done because we have to open the pools. And in addition, we're applying for these grants. So I really want to thank staff for their efforts on that. So
Good
just
job.
a great job.
Security cameras, we're getting a kickstart again on the security camera efforts. The contractor is ordering materials to begin Windsor Park. And once that starts, then they'll start doing the Santa Anita, Chiapas, and Memorial Park sites, as well as Jerome. Vandalism, I won't go through each one of them, but we have a numerous amount of vandalism in our park sites that staff continues to address. And deferred maintenance, as I indicated earlier, staff is focusing their priority on the pools. So a lot of the deferred maintenance on the pools are going to be addressed by the beginning of summer.
And Ron, can you give them a number, a list? What's the number? How many deferred maintenance items do we have?
Oh, I hope I can remember them all, but it's...
Over 400.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's hard. So they're trying to get to what they can and in the best time that they can. So
at some point, maybe we should present that list to the board and refresh it. That'll be a good thing for you to see.
I think we need to do a tamale sale for the parks. Mr. Ono, the lawn bowling center in Santiago, I noticed that there's like a walking path behind there that stretches along. It's all dirt. When it rains, there's work trucks that will go through there and leave deep ruts. So then mosquitoes collect in there. But worse, now it's dry, so you have all this uneven surface, and it's a trip hazard. I wonder if we could, now I don't know if these are vendors or if they're city trucks that are doing this, but if we could put something in place so that when it's raining that they not use that little strip and go around the streets instead. Because now, like I said, it's pretty unsmooth. It's very uneven, and it's an old neighborhood. I'm just concerned someone's going to trip and fall and sue us for making a mess of things there.
You're absolutely right. This is actually a maintenance roadway that doubles as a jogging path.
Yes.
And it needs to be not resurfaced, but new DG installed in that path. You're absolutely right. Then we'll try to take care of it as soon as we can.
Thank you. Another deferred one.
Yeah.
401.
Thank you.
Commissioner Gomez, I have a question. In regards to security cameras, I know we have one already at Madison Park. Can you explain a little bit how they work? Are they monitored all the time? Is it only used when there's a crime? How is it?
No, it's difficult. It actually, once the security camera goes in on all of the 6 park sites that we currently have, they're actually monitored by PD, but no one's sitting there looking at the cameras, but they're recorded. So in case there's an incident, they can backtrack and look at the recording and identify who is the culprit that graffitied the restroom or molested someone or break into a car or whatever. So it's on a recorded basis that they monitor it.
Okay, our next operations report is by our Rec and Community Services Manager.
Hi, everybody. Judy Jurado. And just a quick commercial. If I'm winking, I'm not winking at you. It's the sun in my eyes. Or if I'm moving around while I do my presentation, then you know why. No, Lisa, it's the crack. So really quick. No, don't worry. No, I'm used to it. Don't worry. Over the years, I've done this. So my first item, and I'm going to kind of go quickly through everything, is the Saturn Senior Center item. They hosted their yearly Wear Green to Be Seen St. Patrick's Day event. It was on March the 15th, and they had over 125 seniors attend, and lunch was served by Senior Serve, our lunch provider. They had a blast. They also had opportunity drawings. They were run by their Saturn Senior Center Advisory Board, which was like household items that the seniors would love to get. We had Care First sponsored 3 hours of DJ service. The seniors love to dance. So they had that this year. Number 2, Southwest Senior Center. Grupo Fuente de Vida hosted their annual celebration at the Southwest Senior Center on March 23rd. That's to show you the different reservations that we have. You'll see my list at the end. That's one of the different reservations that we have that we bring in monies for our division and for the agency as a whole. Programs and services, the Sharps training. Our staff went through this training recently, which was March 27th. We had over 30 staff attend that, and I'll be working with the HR to provide more training. As you're aware, there's issues at our parks and our facilities as well, and I'll give you an example of Birch Park. We have, I call them illegal campers, be there outside or try to come in. And unfortunately, my staff on a daily basis faces seeing a needle. Well, what do? So now we're giving them the proper training of how to handle those items. Okay.
Quick question: do they have those grabbers? Oh, good.
That's what was suggested. I have my lead staff, which is Bill Sandoval, working on that with HR and getting everything that we need, so that everybody's safe. So yes.
Yeah, we just Lisa Ridloff, we need to have a policy or some type of procedure to say who's allowed to pick them up, how do you pick them up, where do you put it. And we also need to train 100 more staff. We've only done 30. So.
Commissioner Pedrosa, you also have to offer them Hep B vaccinations. I've taught that course for years. Most people decline it, but you have to have the declination in their file.
Thank you. Number 2, and it's actually up here. On March the 24th, we had a competition. It's the annual Arts and Crafts competition for the Family Pride. You'll hear me say, yes, we have our programming for youth, our programming for seniors, but let's not also forget our families. With this one, we do miracle work with the small budget for the program and a little bit of staff. It's less than 6 staff. We have the families gathered together. We had it this year at the Southwest Senior Center. We had our judges, which was our seniors, to help us judge. This family, could you go back to the first one? Sorry. Okay, so this one, just to let you know what pride means. Parks and recreation inspire dignity and esteem. That's for the entire family. We've had this program over 25 years in our agency, and it works because it's not just for the young kids. It's not just for the mom. It's not just for the dad, but it's for everybody. They learn a lot. They form bonds. With this one, of course, is arts and crafts, but they make things out of simple things you might think, oh, those are just, cotton balls or it's a seashell, but they make awesome items. So we give them actual little certificates and everybody applauds. When we don't have the funding for formal pizza or what have you, everybody pitches in for a potluck. And that's the way we do this. Go ahead to the second one. This was our family, the Nunez Verduso family. And, they won second place. Go ahead. This family won the next one, which was third place. And as you can see, they're just happy. Look at the little boy. I mean, look at that. He's just amazed. If you go back, Hiram. He was just amazed to get it. He likes people looking at him, etc. And that was the whole family together, painting and putting together. Go ahead to the next one. Now here's just examples of more crafts and families enjoying working together. Here, sorry for the picture being a little, stretched, but everybody's having fun. And then at the bottom, you see it's family time. We had close to 200 people there that day, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And every year, it's great. Next year, we'll ask you if you want to be judges. That would be great for you to see. And typically, we do these on Saturdays or Sundays. And typically, for them, it works on Sundays. Most families have not just one job, but they have two jobs, and this is a day for family time. Yes.
Sorry, question, Commissioner Gomez. Where is this taking place? What location?
Okay, so the way this program works, we have these special activities or campouts, and that's when everybody comes, right? But every month, there's 6 different clubs. They meet at different centers. There's one at Logan. There's one at Santa Ana Senior Center. There's one at Southwest Senior Center. There's one at Salgado. And Santa Anita, I believe, shares with someone as well. I don't have the list in front of me. But it's Friday nights. Why Friday nights? It's after work. The kids don't have homework. So that's when they all get together. And they even plan activities together. And then they all come together, the different programs, all the different clubs together. That's when you see them all in one. So that's the way it works. Thank you. Number 3, Logan Recreation Center. This is an example of how we start early to start canvassing the neighborhood and who wants to participate in the summer vacation recreation program, which we do have in the summer. And 3, I spoke about how our ANC team were crowned tournament champions last time. Well, they went, they attended, and Team A was placed 4th for the Smash Leagues Championship Tournament. Number 5, you can read on that, is just how we collaborate and we reach out. This is the Garfield Center going to a neighboring the Triada apartments and going out and sharing the resources that we have to the community. 6 and Lacey, we'll not talk about that any longer since 2 other people spoke about it, and thank you for those that were there. But number 7, we have carnivals throughout the year at different park sites, and this brings enjoyment to families here in the city that's affordable versus going to certain theme parks that are more expensive. And we do get revenue coming into the city for them being on site. So that helps with much of the 400 items that this division needs to do, which is park services. Facility rentals and permits. Have you seen this for the past couple of months? And you saw the presentation today? Well, how do I get this report? It's from Civic Rec. So later in the future, once everything else that she spoke about, it would be in here. So if my director says, hey, I need this report, we could get it from the Civic Rec program and report out to whomever needs it. And I'm happy to report that the numbers went up from last month, 540 additional reservations from last month. But I do have to be honest with you, too, and transparent. The last month was reported for February. February is a shorter month. Okay, there's only a couple of days there, but it was an increase. And that's all for me, if you have any questions. Thank you.
Sorry, I fell asleep at the switch. For our Santa Ana Zoo op report, Ethan Fisher.
Okay, Ethan Fisher here. I'll go through a few different things. The first is the animal services section. So those would be the animal caretakers and veterinary services. We applied for a restricted species permit this past month. We're in the process of doing that. And that is something that happens annually. It goes to the Department of Fish and Wildlife. They ask for lots of information about the zoo. We have to submit information on the animals, the habitats, the emergency plans we have for the zoo, what medical supplies we have, even as far down as the crates that we have to remove the animals from the zoo if there was an emergency. Then the second part of that is they actually send fish and game wardens to the zoo, and they do a site inspection. And it's kind of interesting because they usually show up in their bulletproof vests with guns, walking around the zoo, looking at all the animals. And then after that, they issue us our yearly permit. And this happens every single year. And then we also get to pay them about $1,100 for this. But every facility that has exotic animals in California goes through this. We moved one of our ocelot cats into a different habitat at the zoo. Right now we have 3. Hopefully in the future, our youngest offspring, a female that's about a year old, she'll be going to another zoo. Public programs continue. On the weekends, we do our public animal presentations. Those happen twice a day. And the guests get to meet a variety of different animals. School groups are continuing. This is our busiest part of the year for school visits, the springtime. And pretty much every day, Tuesday through Friday, is packed. You drive by the zoo and you'll see about 9 buses out front.
Commissioner Pedrosa, are these schools from all over the county?
They are, and they're actually they're from Orange County, Riverside, Long Beach, Los Angeles. They come from all over. We even have a school that comes from San Bernardino.
So that's a revenue source too, then.
It is. The education department. I think it's about $80,000 in revenue that comes in through school programs.
Nice.
But that'll be nice to have it in Civic Rec, and then we'll be able to track it a little bit better. As far as outreach, we participated in the Children's Water Education Festival at UC Irvine. So that's an annual 2-day event that the Orange County Water District puts together. A lot of other agencies and organizations participate. I know Discovery was there, and different universities come. And we have a booth. You don't see every child that comes through the event. They assign different classes to go to different exhibitors. They come for a short presentation. Ours was about the rainforest and the water cycle, and then they get to meet some animals, and then they go on to the next station. So it's something that we've been doing for many, many years. We've participated in that, and I know the kids come from all over Orange County to attend it. We had a fire drill. So one thing that we do at the zoo, we do a number of different types of emergency drills throughout the year. We do one that's an animal escape drill. We do one that's a fire drill, a weather-related drill, so usually something related to heat illness. And then we also do something where it's a simulated injury to a staff member or a member of the public. So we had a fire drill. There was a little sign that was in a couple different spots, and the staff had to identify the fire and go through the process that they would go through if there was an emergency situation. And then we had a education specialist from Orange County Fire Authority that came out to the zoo and went through some of the details of addressing a fire situation if you had it at your home or in the workplace. And then we finished that off by practicing using a fire extinguisher and how you would do that. Coming up in May, on May 19th, we have a special event at the zoo. It's called Party for the Planet, and that's basically the zoo's Earth Day event. We don't do an Earth Day event in April because that's a pretty busy time with a lot of other Earth Day events. And Earth Day was on Monday, the April 22nd. But we do it in May. It's a lot easier to get exhibitors to come to the zoo for the event. Fullerton Arboretum comes. We have the water department from Santa Ana. They come. We have the Cooper Center usually from Cal State Fullerton and the county. And just a number of different groups come, and they talk about how to be conservation-minded, how to just be kind to the earth. And then the kids have opportunities at education stations and to do crafts. So that event's coming up on May 19th, and if you're inclined, I encourage you to come and visit. I have the March attendance numbers. It was 20,736 visitors. That's pretty consistent with what we've had past years. 2017 was a little bit higher, but it is still the time of year that's very weather dependent. When it rains on a Saturday, that definitely hits our monthly attendance numbers. We had a small renovation to the butterfly garden. We have an area around our wishing well where we have butterfly host plants, and we were able to make a couple renovations to that with some money from the Metropolitan Water District, and it looks nice, and the flowers are starting to come in. And I was just observing yesterday, we had some caterpillars from the monarch butterflies, which we want to encourage more of. There was a variety of facility repairs throughout the zoo. That's always going on. And then on April 20th, we hosted a volunteer recognition luncheon. That's something we do every April to recognize the volunteers that are in many different capacities throughout the organization. Some are in education, some work in animal services, helping the zookeepers, some are clerical, some do special events. So we definitely rely on volunteers a lot, and we want to show our appreciation to them. I should have we have a book that we put together that actually recognizes all the volunteers and the hours that they contributed, so I'll try to remember to bring that next time. And that's all I have.
Commissioner Gomez, I had a question.
Sure.
Thank you for doing the May 19th on the third Sunday of the month where we could go for free.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
That's intentional.
Yes, I know. Thank you.
That's a free day, right?
Yeah, that's why it's great.
Yeah.
I love it. Then my other question is, I did go recently, and I was old school, but I had a stamp card for the train, and they said that's no longer, that they would accept it for them, but I finished it that day, but you guys don't do that anymore?
They did transition, I believe it's earlier this year, to tickets. These little tickets that you use for the different rides.
Right. I think my card though was like a value card. Like you paid for more, you paid for less for more rides. So it was kind of, as a parent, as a family, it saved us money. So it's kind of sad that you guys don't have that anymore, or is it working differently?
It's a third party, though, right?
It is operated through the Friends of Santa Ana Zoo, but I know that they do have a discount booklet that the zoo members can purchase, where you do get them as a slight discount. And then we also, I know they made a change to how they do the ride sales for school groups too, so that they get a little bit of a break on the cost of the rides, because some schools coming on self-guided visits do want to go on the train or carousel.
So discounts are no longer offered to just regular residents, it's only members, correct? For the train and the carousel?
It is, the discount booklet is just for the members, yeah.
Commissioner Pedrosa, and that membership money helps the zoo, right?
It does.
Because the Friends donate.
So the city has an operating agreement with the Friends of the Santa Ana Zoo, and that is part of the proceeds of that go back to the city. And then there's also some other contributions that the Friends make supporting staff positions, and then also supporting capital programs.
Commissioner Pedrosa, one thing I'd like to see at the zoo is how about hosting a 5K run to raise money for the Friends? I think it's big enough where you could do it there. I participated in the 5K this past year in downtown. It's a lot of fun. I don't know if that made any money. Do you know, Lisa, if that helped the city at all?
Oh, Jeannie does the 5K.
Our 5K is free to the community.
So other cities and nonprofits use those to generate funds. So you could do one at the zoo with the Friends. And most of them I've paid about $30 and you get a shirt and whatnot. But it's a fundraiser. That'd be kind of fun to kind of introduce the zoo to people who maybe haven't been there in years. They'll be running laps around there for a while. I was able to shave 9 minutes off my last one. It's pretty good. At my age, that's not bad when you can get faster. But I think that'd be kind of fun.
Well, we do have a special events committee, and Jeannie actually participates in that for the zoo. So we all just talk about different ideas. So definitely we could talk about it.
Run in the jungle. There's your theme.
Thank you. No other questions for Ethan? You have the most exciting area. Sorry, everybody else, but the zoo.
We're all excited.
The zoo is fascinating. The ocelots. Oh, the library. Of course, escape from reality. So our next update on will be the library, and Cheryl. Thank you.
Hello, Cheryl Eberly, Youth Services Supervisor, reporting for the library, a place where you can escape from reality. It's the most fun. I'm just going to go over a few brief things that I want to highlight. The first one is the library cards. Standard library cards are free and allow patrons to borrow books, DVDs, CDs, hotspots, use computers, access books, all those things. In March, we issued 665 new library cards and renewed 428. So that's pretty good in a month. We also offer online library cards. We're starting to see an uptick in users going online. Like, with Civic Rec, it's going to take a while for adoption. And we had 67 new online borrowers. The rest you see circulation stats, tech desk, computer use sessions. What I wanted to highlight is our cloud hosting. In March, the library switched over successfully to cloud hosting, which includes the library OPAC, circulation module, reports module, and cataloging module, which means server space is safe. We're now in the cloud. Something to highlight is our homework and tutoring help at Main and New Hope Library. 165 students signed up for homework and tutoring assistance for 1,091 sessions in the learning centers at the Main Library and New Hope Library Learning Center. Go to the next one. For the Teen Space programs across, we have 4.5 sites. We had 2,440 community members utilize Teen Space services and participated in programming during the month of March. One additional thing that I added in here is the Santa Ana History Room, which is a huge resource for our city, and it has, because Santa Ana is one of the founding cities in Orange County, it has a tremendous resource, and we get lots of great donations. So we got a lot of important objects in line with our collection goals. We received a trophy from the 1931 Armistice Day Parade, and a Santa Ana High School aerial from 1921 belonging to James Music, for who the Music Center is named. We also have the Zerman Confer family collection. The Zerman Confer family collection has got over 100 objects related to the family, their businesses, hobbies, and the Santa Ana Development Company. They were a big developer. They were responsible for building the Grand Central Market that is now Grand Central Art Center. So that family's collection is with us. They also had interest in the walnut industry and transportation. And this collection includes the only known candid photographs of World War I hero Jack Fisher before he went overseas in 1917. So, as a history geek, it's a big deal. We also were able to collect a revenue of over $700 for home history research as well as obituary and newspaper searches. This is one of the revenue generators in the library because people from all over the country and the world actually come and ask us for these kinds of research. I'm going to go over to the next page. I want to highlight the Dad and Me programming because that's something that's really important in our city. It was created to encourage fathers or male caregivers. So it's not just dad. It could be an older brother, an uncle, a grandfather, because kids have different males in their life, to become involved in the children's lives through hands-on activities. The program also helps connect fathers with other fathers because sometimes you have dads or single dads who are raising their kids. So it kind of gives them the connection. The youth service staff presented a boat race science program at the main library with 13 people in attendance. Couple of special events. We had Sherry Ho and Melody Fox event. And this event on Saturday, March 2nd, the Adult Services in coordination with the Young Adult Services hosted an author reading and book presentation for the book titles My Name is Also Freedom and Freedom Was Just a Beginning from authors Sherry Ho and Melody Fox. This event brought awareness to human trafficking and 30 people attended. Sherry Ho and Melody Fox read from their books, My Name is Also Freedom, and Freedom Was Just a Beginning. They conducted a question and answer session with audience members and signed copies of her books. Human trafficking is a big issue in Santa Ana being one of the hubs. And so there's a lot of interest in our community. There's a lot of awareness being brought. And it's not just, sex trafficking, it's also work slave trafficking. And Sherry Ho was part of the work slave trafficking and in Santa Ana. So it was really, a lot of people were in attendance. I want to highlight a donation. The Teen Space Santa Ana Library received a donation of 25 gently used office chairs from the Green Standards Charitable Network. This organization is a specialized environmental firm that works with corporations and other large organizations to redistribute no longer needed surplus office furniture, equipment, and supplies. The items Teen Space received came from a Green Standards project in the Irvine area. when we first opened the teen space, we weren't that smart. We decided, we want to have really cool looking stuff and really fancy chairs, and they were destroyed within 2 months of teenagers. So, we've been hesitant to buy new stuff. So this was a win-win. I mean, the chairs look, to other people, they're gently used, but to us, it's really nice. They're clean, they move, they go up, they go down. And if the teens destroy it, we're okay. We're okay. So, and that is the end of my report for today.
Commissioner Gomez, question. Comment at first. Thank you, because I went to the library, I want to say a week or two ago, and I didn't know I owed money for books, a couple dollars, but I happened to go on a day where it was like a forgiveness day. So everybody who showed up was forgiven, which I never knew you did. Amazing. I was so happy. And I was found out that if I have overdue books and I can't make it to the library, I could call and they recheck it. So I appreciate that. So convenient, which I just did. Then I did have a question. I understand that the library oversees the staff at Roosevelt Walker. Is that correct? For
Yes.
the youth space?
For the teen space.
Teen space, I'm sorry. I went on Saturday, I think April 6th, first Saturday of April, and there was 2 staff but no youth. And I was there for 3 hours. So it kind of concerns me that we're paying staff, but there's no youth there to, I guess, run a program.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we could maybe even help outreach. I mean, I don't want to just throw ideas and not implement anything.
Yeah.
So I could help if you need help with
That's
outreach, but I think it's so sad. There's a space, there's staff, but there's no kids.
Saturday mornings are hard to get kids in there. And when we first started, we had some kids, and now it's kind of Saturday mornings, they just kind of drop off.
Which I think we should change our hours, and you're absolutely
Yeah.
correct. If there's nobody there, then why do we have staff there? And we need to just
And I
look
was
at
there
that
till
again.
12. So it wasn't just the morning. I know it's just kind of something to think about or look or maybe advertise or something. And we could, like I said, I don't mind helping or going to a neighborhood, passing out flyers with you guys
Yeah.
if you need help. And then my other question, I remember growing up and going to the Santa Ana Library and always looking at that history room, and I never really knew what it was. So now you explain a little bit. How do we have access to go in? Do we have to schedule to go in there? I never ever step a foot inside there.
On Monday and Tuesday, you have to make appointments because it's very limited staff availability in the history room, and you need staff with very specific, specialized knowledge of the history in Santa Ana. I started off in the history room because that was my background, and then I got teen volunteers, so then I ended up being with teens. So that's why I still oversee the history room. But Wednesday is also by appointment, but Thursday, Friday, and Saturday from 12 to 4, you can just walk in.
Thank you.
But always call to see if there's staff there. It's a lot of, it's filled to the brim with lots of stuff.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. We don't have any public comments unless they're invisible. I don't see anybody. And we're going to start with board member comments. I will start with Commissioner Gomez.
I've said all I've had to say. I appreciate everybody's hard work. I really, really love going out there and seeing all your fabulous work.
Thank you. Commissioner Pedroza?
I think it's a sign of solidarity with the zoo. I'm going to buy a membership. So I'd like to encourage everybody here to do the same thing
Yeah,
who's
we
on the
should.
board. I think it would be a
Agreed.
nice gesture for the zoo.
Agreed. Commissioner Macias?
Well, I'm just happy to see all the events that the Parks and Recs are putting in place into the whole city. It is more visible, there's more people attending. The groundbreaking ceremony for the Six and Lazy event, it was very well attended. Yes. Also, last event over here at the library, I think I'd like to see more, even though it was for Dia del Niño, it was more for adults, and it was only a few things for children to attend the presentations, the dances and all that. It was very, very nice. But the kids I like to see them walking with something that is not for adults. I know the informational booths are kind of for adults, but I remember when I was a kid long time ago. We were looking for something special for kids, like ice cream or hamburger, and there were families with kids. And at the time that it was, maybe they were hungry. Maybe we can find a sponsor for those events. I'm sure we will be able to. It will look a little bit harder. And that was the only thing. Not that, but it was really well attended. The only disappointment for me was maybe candies or cookies or something to keep the kids busy at that moment. But it was very, very nice. I'm looking forward. Water, perhaps, because many of the parents were, I don't know if they were expecting to have at least water. There was not even water for the visitors. So little things, simple things. But the nonprofits that attended, they were very informative. And for me, it was a blast. Planting that tree and making it happen, little by little, I see that we're taking ownership of places that were forbidden for the residents in the city, including Plaza of the Flags, where for many, many years was taken over by the homeless. I've heard someone saying different names. So I'm happy, and not only the employees that attend and the people that attend to the court can see the value of all the effort that is putting into removing or finding places for these individuals. I just wish it would be something different, and not only Santa Ana could put the burden on, finding the place, because at the end of the day, all the cities are responsible, and the county has the money for that. Just it took so long for people to let them know that they were responsible because they have the funding for that. And I don't know if it's correct to say that, but at this moment, the nonprofits that are running the shelters are bringing the people from other cities. And I question that because the more homeless they bring, the more money they get. And other cities are not taking responsibility for that, so they bring them to Santa Ana. I want to see the day where the residents of Santa Ana are focused on having fun, taking ownership of the parks, and just say, you know what, we live in Santa Ana, we are very proud. And as for today, everyone is working really hard, and I really want to thank you, because I've been attending a little bit more meetings than I used to, and I'm very happy to see that everything is in fruition. It's better, and it's because everyone is putting more than what they're having asked to do. So thank you so very much.
Commissioner Guerrero?
I'd like to take the opportunity to thank all of you for your fine presentations today.
That's very nice. I also want to thank staff, especially Lisa. That was a great event. I guess I hadn't noticed all that little stuff, but I know that it gets a little bit more complicated when you have food that's not prepackaged. You have to get the permits and whatnot from the county, and it just starts to get really sticky. I don't know, maybe lunch trucks people can buy, but we have low-income people, so I know that's the whole purpose of this. I saw a lot of smiley faces. Our office was not boring. We put, I represented Supervisor Doe, and I was in charge of bringing the swag for the kids. Our Frisbees were a hit. So I had a bunch of other stuff, but yeah, I even used bingo dabbers and gave them out as markers, and kids took everything.
I've seen the city water department go to functions with the water bottles, with the tap water. Maybe we can get them to show up to some of these and promote our fantastic tap water.
That's a good suggestion, and I think they were there. Yeah. The water is delicious. If your water does not taste good and you live in Santa Ana, it's because you need new pipes.
Yeah.
I'm drinking it here at this meeting, and I'm putting it on the record. The water is very delicious. I prefer it over sparklets.
Yeah, Commissioner Macias, we welcome, and the water department was there, and they were giving the water bottles. So I think it was great. It was.
There was some information.
Yes.
There was another county agency. I won't say who it was because they were right next to me, and we're a part of the same county family, and they were boring. But they did have some chip clips. I was like, okay, they're colorful, but what are the kids going to do with that? But anyway, we try because I know that, and I like that that you guys push for that. Like, what activities are you going to have for the kids? It is geared towards the kids, and I'm glad that everyone there. PBS is awesome. They were there, and everyone tries to give something to the kids. But there were a lot of parents and adults walking around. I like the variety in the show this year. We had the hula dancers. I even saw the ones that danced at my wedding, and I couldn't figure out why the guy sounded so familiar, and I went, oh, yeah, he was at my wedding. So I talked to him after. I said, you were at my wedding 23 years ago. Yes. And so we took a picture. I sent it to my husband. And I said, remember this guy? And he was very, very good. And he said, yeah, he's still in the same place. So, and I said, yeah, your wife was one of the dancers. And he goes, she's right here. She did not play the drums. She didn't dance anymore. 23 years later, right. So anyway, I did want to say thank you to all the staff, and that's a big event, and it's a successful event, and I'm just so glad we can continue it. And I saw a lot more families and more engagement. Parents were really asking. They were looking for resource information. So I did have one question for the libraries, and I didn't get to ask. Your tutoring assistants, where do you get your tutors, or who volunteers? Are they high schoolers? I'm just curious.
They're paid staff. They're paid tutors.
Okay.
And most of them, I'd say about 80% of them are Santa Ana college students, Santa Ana graduates. They're all mostly bilingual. Yeah.
Perfect. I just wondered what kind of tutors you had there. Okay. And then my other question, and this is directed at Miss Rudloff, is next meeting, I'm assuming we're going to be in May, and you guys are already starting to gear up for the 4th of July, or I'm not sure when it'll be on the agenda when you guys are discussing security for that. I just want to know, like, how early on. I know that you guys have already had a meeting to discuss the 4th of July activities at Centennial Park. I'm really super concerned. I was there last year, and we do have protesters, and I know that we cannot infringe on their freedom of speech, but we also have to I just wondered, because I know this was done recently where the DA had a, for human trafficking, or they did a victims' right march, and they said, everybody welcome protesters too, but we're going to have a separate area for protesters so that they don't disrupt the festivity or the ceremony. And I just wondered if that can happen too, because I just felt like they were right in the faces of the police and anybody doing the patriotic stuff. But anyway, we can talk about that maybe next agenda, or even the one in June.
Or if I can give just a quick
Sure,
update,
please,
and
please.
Jeannie is also here. We did have a meeting, and Jeannie and her staff are on it. And also, what we're going to call this event, it's the 4th of July event, but we're also going to call it a limited public forum, which means, yes, there is an area where you can have freedom of speech, and we'll have the police monitoring that area. So we're trying to take steps to allow them to say things and be in a specific area. And that's very common. The previous agency I worked for, that's what we did for every single event, and provided that space. So we are working with the police department, and we are working with volunteers. All of our volunteers now have to be background checked.
Good.
We have a new volunteer program within the city. And so we're working on that, and we'll be ready.
Good.
And we can probably. I know May 13th. We might be able to add just a few more things on the agenda and give an update. Let's just give an update on 4th of July also.
Yeah,
And,
because it can be such a nice event. People were enjoying the music. They had a good band. I mean, I wanted to get up and dance, but I was busy, helping on the stage. But it's such a nice event. People were really enjoying themselves. I had never seen that turnout like that. Maybe I don't know. I don't remember ever seeing that. But the music was great. The food was good. And it was a lot of work for our city staff. But it was scary.
Someone that's here in the room was dancing.
Irma, the music was so good. They had a great band. But there was a lot of families and a lot of veterans. I thought that was really neat that they tied in the veteran thing. That was beautiful. There was a lady that walked up and said her brother was missing in action. He was so he was still just still missing in action. His body was never found. Or he was never found. So she went in line for the flag in honor of her brother. So I thought that was sweet. Anyway, I don't have any other comments. You guys are amazing. I'm always amazed at city staff. There's not enough people to do the work here in the city. And I know that our budget is really challenging. So if we have another, I do want to adjourn today's meeting in honor of Aves. She passed away recently. She was a true asset to the city of Santa Ana. Her passion and relentless volunteer spirit for wildlife and making Santa Ana, specifically the Thornton Park neighborhood, a better place to live and visit has left an indelible mark on staff. And if I could get a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Move to adjourn. Commissioner Pedroza.
Second by Commissioner Guerrero. Thank you. And this meeting's adjourned. Our next meeting is Monday, May 13th. Thank you.